Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me again. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Are you ready for another story from Grimm's Fairy Tales? If you're wondering about other stories, make sure you check out the YouTube channel and look for Grimm's Fairy Tales because I've already done a few. So, tonight we're going to read another story from Grimm's Fairy Tales by the Brothers Grimm. This one is called Jorinda and Joringel. Now, I don't know if anybody's actually read the Grimm's fairy tales or this story. So if you have or you haven't, let me know in the comment section. If you've ever heard of any of the Grimm's fairy tales, let me know. I'll be reading through this book that I've had for a very long time, as you can tell, because I've always loved Grimm's fairy tales that much. So make sure you check out my YouTube channel. Look for the other Grimm's fairy tale stories that I'll be reading and have read that are already uploaded and will be uploaded. And now, Grimm's fairy tale story, Jorinda and Joringel. There was once an old castle in the middle of a vast, thick wood. In it there lived an old woman quite alone, and she was a witch. By day, she made herself into a cat or a screeching owl. But regularly at night, she became a human being again. In this way, she was able to decoy wild beasts and birds, which she would kill and boil or roast. If any man came within 100 paces of the castle, he was forced to stand still and could not move from the place until she gave the word of release. But if an innocent maiden came within the circle, she changed into a bird and shut her up in a cage which she carried into a room in the castle. She must have had 7,000 cages of this kind, containing pretty birds. Now there once was a maiden called Jorinda, who was more beautiful than all other maidens. She had promised to marry a very handsome youth named Joringel, and it was in the day of their courtship, when they took the greatest joy in being alone together, that one day they wandered out into the forest. "Take care," said Joringel. "Do not let us go too near the castle." It was a lovely evening. The sunshine glanced between the tree trunks of the dark green wood, while the turtle doves sang plaintively in the old beech trees. Yet Jorinda sat down in the sunshine and could not help weeping and bewailing, while Joringel, too, soon became just as mournful. They both felt as miserable as if they had been going to die. Gazing around them, they found they had lost their way and did not know how they should find the path home. Half the sun still appeared above the mountain, half had sunk below. Joringel peered into the bushes and saw the old walls of the castle quite close to them. He was terror-struck and became pale as death. Jorinda was singing, "My birdie with its ring so red sings sorrow, sorrow, sorrow. My love will mourn when I am dead. Tomorrow, morrow, jug, jug." Joringel looked at her, but she was changed into a nightingale who sang, "Jug, jug." A screech owl with glowing eyes flew 3 times around her and cried 3 times, "Shoo, ha, ha, shoo, ha, ha, shoo, ha, ha." Joringel could not stir. He stood like a stone without being able to speak or cry or move or hand or foot. The sun had set now. The owl flew into a bush, out of which appeared almost at the same moment a crooked old woman, skinny and yellow. She had big red eyes and a crooked nose whose tip reached her chin. She mumbled something, caught the nightingale, and carried it away in her hand. Joringel could not say a word nor move from the spot, and the nightingale was gone. At last the old woman came back and said in a droning voice, "Greetings to thee, Joringel. When the moon rises upon the cage, unloose the captive, Joringel." Then Joringel was free. He fell onto his knees before the witch and implored her to give back his Jorinda. But she said he could never have her again and went away. He pleaded, he wept, he lamented, but all in vain. "Alas, what is it to become of me?" said Joringel. At last he went away and arrived at a strange village where he spent a long time as a shepherd. He often wandered around about the castle, but did not go too near it. At last he dreamt one night that he had found a blood-red flower. In the midst of which was a beautiful large pearl. He plucked the flower and took it to the castle. Whatever he touched with it was made free of enchantment. He dreamt, too, that by this means he had found his Jorinda again. In the morning, when he awoke, he began to search all over hill and dale in the hope of finding a flower like this. He searched until the 9th day, when he found the flower early in the morning. In the middle was a big dewdrop, as big as the finest pearl. This flower he carried day and night until he reached the castle. He was not held fast as before when he came within 100 paces of the castle, but walked straight up to the door. Joringel was filled with joy. He touched the door with the flower, and it flew open. He went in through the court and listened for the sound of birds. He went on and found the hall where the witch was feeding the birds in the 7,000 cages. When she saw Joringel, she was angry, very angry, scolded, and spat poison and gall at him. He paid no attention to her, but turned away and searched among the bird cages. Yes, but there were many hundred nightingales. How was he to find his Jorinda? While he was looking about in this way, he noticed that the old woman was secretly removing a cage with a bird inside and was making for the door. He sprang swiftly towards her, touched the cage and the witch with the flower, and then she no longer had power to exercise her spells. Jorinda stood there as beautiful as before and threw her arms around Joringel's neck. After that, he changed all the other birds back into maidens again and went home with Jorinda, and they lived long and happily together. The end. That is Jorinda and Joringel of Grimm's Fairy Tales by the Brothers Grimm, read by me, Loren Molloy. Now, if you enjoyed that, please let me know in the comments section. I'll be keeping an eye out. Make sure to like and follow the page. Turn on the notifications when I go live. You don't want to miss out. And make sure you look for all my other stories that I'll be reading, many from Grimm's Fairy Tales. Also, feel free to share any of my videos from YouTube anywhere you'd like. The more that listen, the more they get to enjoy these wonderful, dark, macabre, wonderful, interesting stories from the Brothers Grimm. So have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, and happy horrors.